Hi, I'm Jerry Caponera. I'm the GM of our risk products business here at ThreatConnect. I wonder from kind of how you see the landscape today, what is the importance in your view of risk quantification to today's CISOs?
Yeah, that's a good one. The problem, that we're all trying to solve, is where do we invest our limited resources? And that's really where risk quantification plays a huge role. We have more threats usually than we can address. We don't have all the resources or budget that we want. So we have to be very focused. We need a way to prioritize where we're making those investments to have the most ROI, the most impact in terms of risk reduction. And it's a challenge to effectively measure, how your return on that investment is. So, for me, that's kind of why I'm so excited about RQ and what I think risk quantification can do for a lot of organizations, a lot of CISOs out there, because it's a hard question to ask. Where do you want to invest for the most impact?
That's a great point. That prioritization piece, and sounds like it is, risk quantification is one of those things that you see obviously a big future for, not something talked about 25 years ago, but definitely something.
And the problem today, in a lot of cases, is it's more art than science. And I think a lot of us are very analytical in our approach. We want to be able to put more science behind risk quantification. It's too many CISOs, I think, have to rely on their gut because they struggle in measuring how an investment can have a profound effect on the organization.
Right. So is that the biggest impediment you see in terms of measuring cyber risk in an organization, or is there anything else in terms of that you would?
There's a couple more. So the other thing is, risk is constantly changing. I mentioned earlier, the speed of change in technology drives, a very dynamic or constantly changing landscape when it comes to risk. And I wish there was a widely accepted framework or methodology to measure it. And that's another challenge. One of the impediments to, really putting a good risk quantification and program in place is that you're having to create something that, doesn't really exist today, but there's a lot of things that I think, make a difference here. I think every organization has a different risk tolerance, so it's not one size fits all. Different organizations are at different levels of maturity. Different organizations are dealing with different threat actors. And there's a whole host of factors that I think make that whole risk quantification, algorithm, or approach, complex, because there are so many factors that you have to weigh in. The risk to one organization might have a different financial implication to another organization based upon your business, your industry, your regulatory landscape. So I think that's where, risk quantification really needs to mature. And I think where RQ is going is it helps you take all those different variables in and come out with a very logical, defensible, risk quantification that, as a CISO makes me sleep a little bit better, to tell you the truth, because, the thing that I worry about is, what if we have a breach? What if we have a situation, there is no silver bullet out there. We do our best, but the probability that something happens eventually is high, and without a good defensible risk quantification approach, there's going to be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks second guessing your decisions. Why did you invest here and not invest here? I think with RQ, you have a methodology that has a lot of science behind it, and you put yourself in a very much more defensible position in terms of why you made the risk decisions that you did make.
And I love how you talk about the defensibility as well too. That's a great concept. So it sounds like what you're, listening to this conversation, we've talked about the evolution of the system over 25 years, the challenges to doing this, but also the benefits of this. How do you see the demands for quantifying risk increasing from a CISO's perspective?
Ooh, yeah. Top of the list is the reality that we all have limited resources, as I mentioned. It's forcing some really hard decisions. How do we set those priorities? Where are we going to focus and protect our business? Another, really important factor here is the increasing business impact that cyber events have. Years ago, you might have a worm in your environment, but now, businesses are taken offline leading to tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in impact. So the risks are a lot higher than they were several years ago. And, last but certainly not least, is all of the, I would say, good intentions, but all the federal regulations that are coming at us. We are, as businesses, by the SEC and others, really being held to a higher bar now. We have to be much more transparent in how we're measuring risk, much more transparent in how we're addressing that risk. There's going to be a lot more enforcement in terms of organizations, reporting to the street and other agencies. How are they managing their cyber risk? And to do that, you need a structured approach to it. You can't, wing it. And I really do think RQ is going to help you with that structured approach and help you with those, federal reporting requirements that are coming at us very fast.
They're coming quick. No, I appreciate it, Colin. This has been a great conversation. Thank you. I think you're spot on with all of this.